Yo, what is going on, Senpai Squad? Welcome back to a brand new video, and I know it's late, but we finally have the Boruto episode 71 episode review. Now, the reason this is late is because if you didn't know, today some huge Boruto news for the anime dropped. I did make a video covering all the news. If you haven't seen it, I really do recommend you go and watch it. It will be at the end screen of this video if you do want to go and see it. Like I said, huge news. I highly recommend that you don't miss this. But now that that's out of the way, we can focus on the episode. And it was not a bad episode. It was quite a fun episode. It was fun to tag along with, and I enjoyed it more than I actually thought I did. Now, one problem, which isn't necessarily the episode's fault, it's actually Crunchyroll's fault, is the fact that the subs were delayed, and it's something little, but when they start talking and then the subs appear like a second afterward, it's like something small, but it really irritates me because it just makes it annoying and hard to follow. So it's not a massive problem, and it's not actually the episode's fault. Like I said, it was Crunchyroll's fault, but I just thought I'd point out that I don't know if whatever platforms you guys are watching on, if it was the same for you. I just know watching on Crunchyroll, their subs were delayed, and it was annoying. But this episode was heavily focused on Mitsuki, which we all kind of expected at this point. We actually now have confirmation from one of the Boruto directors. I think I'm not 100% sure what his role in Studio Pierrot is, but we have confirmation now that this Mitsuki arc will last for more than 5 episodes. We don't have an exact amount of episodes, we just know it's going to be a long arc, according to Honda, I believe it was. That is going to be 5+ episodes. Obviously, that's 1 episode down. And I could not wait for this arc, purely for the fact that, and we saw in this episode, especially at the beginning, and it's so clear towards the end of the episode, that this arc is going to be full of so much mystery, which is kind of some of my favourite parts about anime, just having a mysterious character, which Mitsuki, by far, he is so mysterious. We know next to nothing about him. I don't even think he knows much about himself. So any Mitsuki focused arc, I'm all for. But yeah, like I said, this episode focused mainly on Mitsuki and his inner struggle for a change, which nice to see, because mostly we've seen Sarada's inner struggles. We've seen Boruto's inner struggles. Obviously, we saw Sarada's in the Naruto Gaiden arc. We saw Boruto's inner struggles during the Momoshiki arc. And now we have a full arc dedicated to Mitsuki's inner struggles. Obviously, we had that one episode, which was like a one-shot manga chapter novel thing. I can't remember exactly what it's called. But we had that, but it wasn't quite sufficient enough. We didn't really dive into much. It was just seeing how he kind of got Sage Mode and how he was awoke and blah blah blah. So now that we're going to have an actual arc focus on his inner struggles, which is kind of him just learning to be himself and kind of choose his own path and his own destiny and create a way that he wants to go on, because at the moment he's just been kind of following what other people do. He's not really thought by himself, and we've seen that he's actually starting to slowly but surely transform into his own being. Now, we saw, I believe, last episode maybe, he chose to eat, which I didn't think was a big detail, but it was brought up again in this week's episode when they're actually at that like burger place, and Boruto's like, "What's up with this? All of a sudden you decided you want to eat." So, I mean, I didn't think it was that big of a detail, but clearly the fact that it's been brought up yet again, this is something of Mitsuki slowly starting to make his own decisions. Now, the other one, which is actually what the episode kicked off with, was him having a dream, and this dream sequence was a flashback to that episode I was on about where he awakened his Sage Mode powers. Now, I feel as though this dream is going to play a big role in this arc going forward. I think we'll probably get another flashback of it, maybe towards the end of it, where he'll be in a situation, blah blah blah, because I think we'll see Sage Mode again in this arc. I think if you're going to have an arc focus solely on Mitsuki and his struggles, and you don't include his Sage Mode powers, then there's going to be so many disappointed people, me included. After his dream and he woke up in his room, we actually saw that on his bedside table, he's just sitting there by itself. He has a framed picture of Boruto. Now, I understand Mitsuki's whole thing of Boruto is my son and I am his moon, blah blah blah. I understand he's got this craze for Boruto and all of this, but it is starting to get a little bit creepy now, especially him having a picture of Boruto framed on his bedside table. Like, that's a little bit weird. Like I said, I understand it's part of his character, but I'm generally starting to get a bit of a weird vibe about Mitsuki, and I know a lot of people are going to be like, you're only now getting a weird vibe again about this guy. And honestly, yeah, before I just thought it's part of his character, but now I'm starting to think it's evolving past that. And we actually saw towards the end of this episode, which I'll get into a bit more detail, that some people are starting to think, what if Mitsuki actually turns bad? And personally, I don't want Mitsuki to turn bad, purely for the fact that I think it'll just be a rinse and repeat of, oh, it's just Orochimaru again, he was good and then he was bad. Oh, it's Sasuke again, he was good and then he was bad. For once, I just want Team 7 to stay as Team 7. So if this is like a start of Mitsuki choosing his own path, and for that path to be a path of darkness, I'm all for it. But I'd prefer it not to be like that. Because like I said, if Team 7 could just stay as Team 7 for one damn minute, that would be lovely. Also, when they're in this burger place, now this is only something little, and I'm kind of just saying it to trigger some people, I think, but were they hinting at some shippings? Oh, I don't know. Basically, in the burger place, Mitsuki and Shoujo were sitting opposite each other, and then Boruto and Sarada were sitting opposite each other. I only bring this up because I saw it on Twitter and saw some people talking about it, because I know Boruto is obviously a huge ship that is loved by a lot of people in the fandom. Same as now the, I believe, recently ignited Shoujo Mitsuki shipping. So, you know, are they teasing that? I don't know. I just wanted to throw that out there to try and trigger some people, because I know the whole shipping fandom, it is crazy. It is absolutely insane. So I'll let you guys be the judge on what that was all about, if anything. We also got to see a little bit of Ina Shikacho, which Mourin Shikacho, fantastic. They're my favourite team, obviously, besides Team 7. And I think that's kind of the same for most people, because they're the only other team we actually seem to see. So seeing them is great. The whole bit with Enojin and stuff, I loved it. It was actually quite deep almost. It really kind of reflected onto Mitsuki's situation quite well. But, I mean, I'm just going to put this out there. I absolutely love Enojin. I did not think a child conceived via Ino and Sai could quite possibly be entertaining. Like, if on paper, if you watch Naruto Shippuden and you said, oh yeah, Ino and Sai are gonna have a child, you would instantly think, my god, what a boring ass child that would be. But it's the complete opposite. I love Enojin. He's a jokester, he's funny, he's sarcastic. I genuinely feel like if I was a ninja, I would probably be Enojin. But anyway, going on to the whole thing I was originally saying about how Enojin, that team were doing this thing where they're on a farm or something, they were cleaning, blah, blah. Basically, Enojin had an egg in his hand from a chicken egg, and a chick hatched out of the egg, and the first thing that chick saw was Enojin. And as you guys know, I think in this they called it, I can't quite remember what they called it, but basically if you guys don't know, then a chick, first thing it's laid its eyes on, bang, that is now its parent, its mother. And that's what Enojin was to this chick, and then the chick was kind of on Enojin's shoulder, blah blah blah, and they're explaining what the whole situation was with the chick and why it thinks Enojin's its mother, blah blah, to Mitsuki. And Mitsuki, I think, kind of reflected on himself a bit there, because he had a flashback of him looking at the picture of Boruto, which kind of, I mean, Boruto wasn't the very first thing Mitsuki saw, so, you know, it's not exactly a straight carbon copy and paste, but he was kind of thinking about his relationship with Boruto, how once he saw this picture of Boruto, his whole viewing him and relationship towards him, and the whole sun and moon thing, that's when that whole all started to spark. So clearly Mitsuki, throughout this whole episode, I don't think he stopped thinking about his inner struggles with Boruto and his own kind of like self-consciousness and his will and all of that. We also got to see Onoki again, which surprisingly enough, I mean, I'm not going to lie, I'm not exactly an Onoki fanboy, that's for sure. I didn't really care a great deal about him in Shippuden, but I was surprised when I knew he was going to be playing a large role in this episode. I kind of thought, right, okay, it's Onoki, cool, I guess, you know, he's an old Kage. But I was genuinely surprised. I really liked Onoki in this episode. He was funny, he taught great life advice towards Team 7. Mitsuki, again, surprise, surprise, especially really reflected onto him yet again. But basically, there was a 5 Kage summit going on, and when I knew about this from the spoilers a week or two ago, I was like, 5 Kage summit about the Momoshiki attack? This could be interesting. And then I found out that some of the older Kage were going to be there, and I was going to be like, this is going to be awesome. And I slightly let down. I mean, 5 Kage summit was kind of irrelevant. They just brought up Momoshiki's name like once, and then they talked about Urashiki and how there's another one and Sasuke's gone to get him, but we kind of more or less had that conversation at the end of the Momoshiki arc, so nothing really new there. It was cool to see the old Kage again, seeing Kakashi. I don't know why, I just love it. I found it funny just seeing Kakashi like slowly peel the orange and then having the old Raikage there. Just literally, they were paying it zero attention whatsoever, and the Tsuchikage was getting proper triggered at them. And it was the 5 Kage summit. I say I was let down. Maybe let down's not the right word. It just wasn't what I was expecting, but I still enjoyed it. But basically, Onoki was meant to be at this 5 Kage summit, and he himself, he was like the old Kage. He's like, I'm not doing that. That is absolutely boring as hell. I want to go and explore the Leaf Village instead. So Boruto and stuff, they found the missing poster for Onoki, and they go find him. And Onoki says, I'll let you take back to the 5 Kage summit if you show me around Konoha. And I just want to point out, they were going around the village for more or less the entire day. By the time they actually dropped Onoki off at the 5 Kage summit, the sun was setting. It was evening, going on like late night time. Sun was almost gone. I just want to know, how long was this 5 Kage summit? Like, it must have been going on for like 10 hours? I know the Momoshiki attack was bad, but 10 hours? I mean, fair play. So, I mean, it's not exactly a complaint or anything, it's just something quite funny to pick up on, how that was one long-ass 5 Kage summit. Like I said, Onoki kind of mainly spent the episode teaching Team 7 about a life lesson which he once taught Naruto about what is the hardest rock in the world, blah blah, and it turns out that it's the bedrock within you, and you're like, your will, that is your strongest rock in the world, blah blah. And it mainly affected Mitsuki, like I said. Especially, there was a bit where Onoki laid out 3 little pebbles for them, each of Team 7 to then pick which one they thought was the hardest rock in the world. Sarada and Boruto went straight away trying to get one, leaving 1 rock left. Where Mitsuki, well, Boruto says to him, hey Mitsuki, you gonna pick one? And Mitsuki goes to pick up the last rock, obviously through process of elimination. However, he pauses at the last second and says, nah, I'm fine, cheers. And that tiny little moment is actually huge for Mitsuki, because we know towards the start of the episode, he was just getting told what to do. He was just essentially following orders from other people and just going with it. Whereas for once, he made a decision purely by himself and not just to kind of follow what everyone else was doing, which, like I said, it's just a small moment, but it really played into Mitsuki's inner struggle and his will and his character development really, really well. And then the end of the episode. How can I not talk about the end of the episode? So much mystery. Basically, Mitsuki comes back home and he notices that someone's been in his apartment. Now, I don't know if this is them just teasing it or if this is the actual case, but I just want to say, he walks in, first thing, bang, he steps on sand, right? So he steps on sand. There's a letter on his bed. Now, that kind of does conflict with my thoughts on all this a little bit, but I'll go with it anyway. So there's this letter, we don't know what it says. He ends up burning the letter, and then we basically just cut to 2 guards out on the outskirts of the village being attacked. And this is what I want to talk about, because obviously, like I said, there was sand in Mitsuki's apartment, and we see that these 2 guards were defeated by electricity that looked a lot like Mitsuki's electricity. And who's the first person that kind of came to mind? Let's think. He's got the powers of electricity, he's got electricity power, and he's got sand. Urashiki stole, we know he could use Gaara's sand. He stole Gaara's sand. He stole Mitsuki's lightning. Do I think it's Mitsuki? I mean, do I think it's Urashiki? No, I don't think it is, to be honest. Mainly because in the ending, it's like a bunch of bandits. I think it's kind of them. I think it's more or less just the anime just kind of like teasing, like, oh, it's Urashiki. No, actually, it's just a team of bandits which you'll never see again. But it's interesting. Maybe it was Urashiki. We don't know. It's going to be interesting. I don't think it is. I just think it's them teasing it. But guys, I want to hear what you think about this episode, because like I said, full of mystery. This entire arc, I think, throughout these next 5, 6, 7, 10, however many episodes there is, throughout these next amount of episode reviews, I think I'm going to say the word mystery way too many times. But guys, thank you so much for watching. Like I said, leave your comments in the comment section down below. Subscribe if you're not ready to become a member of the Senpai Squad, and I will see you guys in another video. But until then, peace. It was all a dream. I used to read Word Up magazine, Salt and Pepper, and everything.